Welcome back to The Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled you're joining us today because honestly, we're tackling a seriously fascinating piece of blockchain architecture. We're going to be completely decoding a project called Mintora Matrix. Now, if you've been following the evolution of Web3 and smart contracts, you know there is this massive ground-up shift happening right now in how online networks and communities are actually built. It's a real game changer. So today, we're going to pop the hood on this specific system. It's deployed entirely on the BNB Smart Chain, and we're going to figure out exactly how its fully decentralized mechanics are actually designed to work in the real world.
Okay, let's just dive right into our roadmap for today. First, what is Mintora Matrix? Second, the decentralized advantage. Third, Pack 1 economics. And fourth, step-by-step onboarding.
What is Mintora Matrix? At its absolute core, it is a community-driven networking program deployed entirely on the BNB Smart Chain.
Section 2, the decentralized advantage. This is where we get into the really cool underlying tech that makes this entirely admin-free.
Okay, so the absolute bedrock of this whole system is something called an immutable smart contract. Now, for anyone who might be a little newer to the ultra-technical side of things, an immutable smart contract is basically a piece of self-executing code that lives on the blockchain. But the absolutely crucial word there is immutable. Once this specific code is deployed out there on the BNB Smart Chain, that's it. Its rules cannot be altered, they cannot be paused, and they literally cannot be tampered with by anyone. Actually, not even the developers who originally wrote the code can go in and change things later. The rules of the system are permanently locked in place. And because it sits right there on a public blockchain, the whole shebang is 100% transparent. Anyone, anywhere, can verify every single transaction.
Now, this is a concept that I find completely fascinating. Ownership transferred to the zero address. The source material makes a really big point of highlighting that the ownership of this smart contract has been officially renounced. So think of it kind of like a giant vending machine, right? Someone drops this fully stocked, perfectly programmed vending machine right in the middle of a town square. But then, the manufacturer permanently throws away the key to the coin box and destroys the programming panel. Transferring ownership to the zero address is essentially the blockchain equivalent of throwing away those keys. It means there is literally no central admin controlling the funds or capable of altering the payout structures. The community just interacts directly with the machine, the smart contract, and the contract automatically executes the rules completely on its own.
And this brilliantly illustrates the massive shift in how we actually interact with these platforms. Just think about how you normally log into things. A traditional login needs a username, a password, and some centralized database somewhere to check if your credentials match. Well, that centralized database is a huge single point of failure. It can be hacked, or the servers can just flat out crash. Mintora Matrix, on the other hand, utilizes a purely Web3 decentralized login. There are zero passwords involved. Access is granted exclusively through wallet-verified access. Your own cryptographic wallet basically acts as your entire identity, and the verification happens securely, entirely on-chain. It is just a fundamentally different paradigm for user security and getting onto a platform.
Section 3, Understanding Pack 1 Economics. Let's shift gears and look closely at the concrete mechanics of the initial entry package.
And that brings us to this very specific number, 35.0. To officially activate Pack 1 and get into the Mintora Matrix system, a user has to interact with the contract using exactly 35.0 USDT, which, is a stablecoin pegged right to the US dollar. Now, keep in mind, because all of this operates over on the BNB Smart Chain, you're also going to need a tiny amount of BNB cryptocurrency sitting in your wallet. That's just to cover the network's gas fees. Basically, you're paying a microscopic transaction fee to the blockchain itself, not to Mintora Matrix, but the core entry package itself, exactly 35 USDT.
So the absolutely crucial point here is understanding exactly where that 35 USDT goes the literal second it hits that immutable smart contract. Remember what we said earlier? There's no admin sitting there holding this money. It routes automatically in a fraction of a second. According to the plan, $5 is immediately routed off to system maintenance and development. So that leaves $30. The contract then splits that remaining $30 into two distinct buckets. 80% goes to the working matrix, and 20% goes into staking. So to break down that math, $24 fuels the networking income, while the remaining $6 is allocated over to the staking mechanism.
Let's look a little closer at how that $24 matrix allocation actually gets paid out. The system uses what's called a 2x2 matrix structure, and it pays out down to 3 levels. So if you directly bring someone in on your first level, the contract automatically fires off a 30% direct bonus to you, plus a 10% matrix bonus. That totals a 40% payout instantly sent straight to your wallet. Now, if a user lands on your second level, the contract triggers a 15% matrix bonus. And down on the third level, which holds 8 total positions, every single time a user lands there, a 25% matrix bonus is triggered. But wait, here is a super vital programmed mechanic. When the final 4 participants land on that third level, the contract is specifically programmed to hold those particular funds. It doesn't just keep them for itself, though. It uses them to automatically recycle your entire matrix slot. It basically opens it back up so the whole cycle can begin all over again, and you don't even have to manually repurchase the tier. It's totally automated.
Okay, so what about those other $6 we mentioned earlier? That chunk goes straight into the staking allocation. Based strictly on the system's own documentation, this 20% slice gets routed into a daily mining protocol. The smart contract is mathematically structured to release daily yields over a 365-day period, and it has a hard programmed ceiling that caps the maximum return at 2x the staked amount. Now, I want to be extremely clear about this point. We are looking at this strictly as a programmed mathematical mechanic written into the smart contract's code. We are absolutely not endorsing this as some sort of guaranteed financial return. It is quite simply the rigid, automated routing rule that the zero-address contract is mathematically bound to follow.
Section 4. Step-by-step onboarding. Let's walk through the actual practical steps of how a user interacts with this platform.
Since we already established there are no usernames or passwords here, you obviously can't just fire up a standard web browser and log in. You have to use a compatible Web3 Decentralized application, or DApp, wallet. The source material specifically lists 4 highly compatible wallets that interface seamlessly with the BNB Smart Chain: TokenPocket, Trust Wallet, MetaMask, and SafePal. So you would absolutely need to have one of these installed on your device, you'd need it set to the BSC mainnet, and you'd need it funded with the necessary USDT and BNB before you could even attempt to register for the system.
Let's actually walk through the exact, literal 4 steps required to create an account on the blockchain, assuming you've got your wallet all set up and ready to go. Step 1. You must enter a sponsor or referrer address. Because this is a networked matrix, you kind of have to be plugged into the grid through someone else. Step 2. You execute the on-chain purchase by buying Pack 1 for exactly 35.0 USDT. You click the button on the interface, and your Web3 wallet will pop up, asking you to approve the smart contract interaction. Step 3. Once the blockchain securely confirms that transaction, remember, you don't go create a password. You simply click Login with Wallet. And finally, Step 4. The smart contract recognizes your unique wallet address as having purchased Pack 1, and it instantly unlocks the on-chain dashboard for you to use.
Now, it's really important to clarify that your initial sign-up and your routine, day-to-day login, are 2 totally different things. After you've knocked out that initial sign-up transaction, logging in on a daily basis is completely free, and it's so much simpler. It's just a quick 3-step process. First, you connect your wallet to the Mintora Matrix interface. Second, you sign a login request. And hey, this doesn't cost any gas fees at all. It's just your wallet cryptographically proving to the website, yep, I own this address. And third, boom, the dashboard immediately opens. 0 passwords to try and remember, and absolutely no centralized database to check your credentials against.